Hi, I'm Juliet, and today I'm talking about whether you should write in a different version of English to your own. Specifically, I'm referencing people I've seen say that even though they aren't from the USA, they're using American English. But I'm sure there are other swaps out there. First, why would anyone even consider this? Well, for many years now, the USA has been the biggest consumer of ebooks and independently published books for writers whose first language is English. So the thought is that they want to write in the version of the language that most people read their books in, which will increase their sales. And just to be clear, I'm not talking about authors for whom English is not their first language, and yet they write in English. They already know the many pitfalls of writing in a language that isn't their own. So I get why people want to do this. It seems to make sense, but I see problems with it. Let's deal with the most obvious one first. Do you really know all the differences in spelling and word usage in the version of English you wish to write in? It isn't just a case of removing the U's and replacing S with Z with American English. To truly be writing in that language, you'll need to change expressions. There are a lot of these that don't translate to the other language. And phrasing and punctuation is often different. Unless you actually live or have lived in the country for an extended period of time, it's extremely unlikely you'll be able to do this to a sufficient level of competency. So you'll likely end up with a version of English that is neither yours nor the one you're trying to emulate. You could, of course, get a native-speaking editor, or possibly a proofreader, or, just to be on the safe side, both, to check through your manuscript and make sure everything sounds as it should to a native speaker. But that's a lot of extra work, and is probably going to cost. And yes, you could get beta readers to do this too, but they're probably not going to be as detailed, since they're not being paid. So you still might end up with a less than perfect product. But let's say you've done all that and it worked and it's perfect. Great. One other question. What happened to your voice in the process? Is it still there? Because some of the words that your characters are now saying are probably not ones you'd ever have put into their mouths. The way the narrative sounds may not have the same effect, because a phrase has been changed, and if you change it back, it won't sound like either version of English. Is that what you want your voice to be? And if you decide you don't want to do this again in the future, will your readership like how you write in your native English? So I'm not saying don't. Do whatever you want with your own writing. But do think about something like this very carefully before embarking on such a journey. Truly writing in a different version of English is a real challenge. Writing is difficult enough. Why make it even more difficult when you don't need to? With the world so connected these days and everyone having exposure to people of other countries on social media, it really shouldn't be necessary.